We don't practice because someone makes us practice. We don't practice for fame or glory. We don't practice to impress anyone or make us feel better about ourselves. We certainly don't practice for money. We practice because we yearn to connect. Connect to the ancestors that built this. Connect to the modern geniuses that inspire us. Connect to our city and our scene and the listeners in the back of the room. But mostly we want to connect to that spark that lives deep within all of us. That spark that wants to be fire. We practice every day to clear a path for that spark. Let's practice together. Welcome to the Daily Guided Practice Session. Let's start with our chromatic scale, 88 beats per minute. Let's get to work. What's up, everybody? Adam Manis here. I'm so excited to practice with you today. We're doing some pentatonic work, so let's get to our instruments. Make sure that you can hear me. Make sure that you can hear yourself, because we are working today. We are going to practice 5 levels of some pentatonic scales. And this is really 5 different ways to practice. Before we get going, if you love practicing pentatonic scales and you want to practice more of these with me, go ahead and smash that like button right now. And go ahead and leave in the comments where you practice from in the world. We've got people from all over the world here, like Bruce and Austin and Tortog and Mark and Nick and from Seattle. And the list is... well, I was going to say it's endless, but there's clearly an end right here. But anyway, leave in the comments here where you're practicing this stuff. And I don't know, let's get right to it today. Huh? No more messing around. We're not going to wait for the room to fill up, as I sometimes like to say. We're going to get straight to it. So I want to practice pentatonic scales going through 5 different ways to do it. And these are really 5 different levels of complexity. And what's so cool about tackling a subject like this, right, with such a systematic approach, is that you can really plug in anything with this subject and take it through this similar system of adding complexity with each level. So let's start with level 1. Level 1 here of the pentatonic scale is just the pentatonic scale up and down, right, in a linear fashion. That's why we have linear scale here to kick it off. Now this is great because we can explain what the heck is a pentatonic scale. So the pentatonic scale that we're going to be dealing with today is the minor pentatonic. We're going to be doing all C minor, right? This is C minor 7. This is a Dorian sound. Let's get some overhead going. Right? It's a Dorian sound. This is something that you might play over a modal tune. This is something that you might play over something that has like a minor vibe, a modern vibe, something maybe like solar. Right? Pentatonic scales are so useful to get that very angular sound. I like to think of it as angular. It feels like there's like sharp angles on it, right? So we're going to start out with just the scale itself. So what is the scale? You've probably heard it before. It's very close actually to like a blues scale. Pentatonic, it's made up of 5 notes, right? We have the root here, C minor, it's C. Then we have the minor 3rd, E flat, the 4th, F, the 5th, G, and that flat 7th, B flat. This is also just like a C minor 7, but with that 4th in there too, right? Now you could think about this as E flat major, like the relative major pentatonic. They're kind of interchangeable here, but we like to think about this for these purposes is C minor. Okay, so our first level here that we're going to practice, and we're actually going to practice this, is just up and down. Right? Let's do 8th notes here. Let's just start with this very first line, root up to the flat 7th and back down to the root. Shake it out a little bit. Take a big deep breath for me. No matter what instrument you're playing, make sure that your feet are flat on the floor, that you're connected to the earth, and that you're at a comfortable place with your instrument. Let's try it up and down. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, 2, 3, and 4, and. As we do this next one, see if you can play it incredibly evenly all throughout, up and down, right? So that there's no accents whatsoever. Can you make each note the same volume and the same duration as the previous note? Try it. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Again, 1, 2, nice and even. 3, and 4, and. Just this first line up here. Again, 2, 3, and 4, and. That's the pentatonic scale. 3, and 4, and. That's all it is. 2, 3. Last time. 4, and. Okay, check it out. We're going to go right up to the very next inversion of this, or just starting at the next scale tone. We'll start at E flat, and we'll go all the way up to the root and back down to E flat. 2, 3, and 4, and this is the second line here. Again, just playing the pentatonic scale up and down, starting at each point in the scale. Here we go. 3, and 4, and. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, stop. Shake it out. Again, take a big deep breath. Now, before we get bogged down in, I'm going to play scales and it's just going to go through every scale tone. And it's, I'm so tired of this, right? So let's stop with that sort of, we're practicing our scales, we're eating our vegetables, and just enjoy this moment right here that we have at our instrument. It's a beautiful day. We're making beautiful music. We're learning a little bit about ourselves and how well we know these things and these groups of notes and these collections of sounds that we're vibrating through the air. Let's just stop and take a little moment to appreciate that, first of all. But then let's commit for the rest of this session, as we do this very systematic work, right, through the pentatonic scale, that we actually treat it like it's music to be played, that it's music that's coming from us, that we can interpret this in a way that is actually human and actually musical, right? So you might envision yourself at the Village Vanguard, and there's actually very many times where you might play that phrase at the Village Vanguard or anywhere else, or at Carnegie Hall, or wherever you're dreaming of playing. But I want you to take this exercise as serious as you would take playing a gig with that. Remember, there's no moments that are more important than others here. As we are sitting in our instrument, it's just as important that we connect to this music as if we were performing, or else you're not going to be able to connect to it as you're performing, right? You have to be able to practice that aspect of performance here in the shed. That's what we're working on. Let's try it. The second line here, E flat up to C and back down to E flat on the C minor pentatonic scale. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, to make it groove, and 2, 3, and 4, and 2, again, and 4, and one more time. 2, 3, and 4, and. Okay, let's go to the next one, the third one down right in the middle, starting at F, going up to E flat, and back down. And in the spirit of taking this very seriously, I want you to just hear this sound. Let's play it first once. Just play this once and get the sound in our head, what these notes sound like. 2, 3, and 4, and. Let's do it one more time. 2, 3, and so we can hear it. Stop. Okay. Let's now that we've heard it on our instrument, let's put in a sound of our favorite player right now, whoever that is. And I know that changes for me all the time. So whoever it is that you are really into these days, maybe that's Herbie Hancock, maybe that's Pat Metheny, maybe that's Charlie Parker, maybe that's Lester Young, maybe that's Tony Williams, whoever that is, see if you can imagine them playing this music here, this very simple scale up and down. Can you imagine what it would sound like if Keith Jarrett played this, or whomever your favorite musician is? See if you can just hear that sound. You're probably not going to get close to the way they actually sound playing it, but the exercise is to hear that sound, right? That how you want to emulate your playing. See if you can hear that first before you play it, and then let go of the results. Here we go. 2, 3, and 4, and again, 2, 3, and 4, and 2, 3, and 4, and 2, 3, and 4. Hear that sound in your mind's ear. Who is it? What would it sound like if they played it? What would it sound like if Art Tatum played something like this? 3 and 4 and. It would probably have a lot of joy in it. 2, 3, and 4 and. One more time. 2, 3, and 4 and. Hey. All right, one more time for real. 2, 3, and 4 and. Can't go out like that. All right, let's keep this going. Let's keep this sound in our minds here, this preferred sound. We're going to go from G up to F and back down. This is all the C minor pentatonic scale. We're just playing it in a linear fashion, just up and down the scale from each scale tone, up the rest of the notes of the scale and back down. Here we go. G to F and back. 2, 3, and 4, and. 2, 3, and 4, and. 2, 3, and 4, and. Again, what does it sound like when it's performed at the level you think you should perform it? And 4, and. Keep it going. 2, 3, and 4, and. Can you give every one of these notes the attention it deserves? 2, 3, and 4, and. You're playing at smalls. It's 1 a.m. 2, 3, and 4, and. One of your favorite musicians just walked in, and you're playing this. How do you make it sound? 3, and 4, and. 2, 3, and 4, and. Last time. Okay, last one. B flat up to G. Here we go. Keep it rolling. 2, 3, and 4, and. 2, 3, and 4, and. 2, 3, and 4, and. Make it groove. 2, 3, and 4, and. 2, 3, and 4, and. Put some human on it. Last time. 2, 3, and 4, and. Good. Isn't that great? So that's level 1 of practicing pentatonics. That's very simple. But even level 1 here, as simple as this is, incredibly useful. And as we add complexity here with levels 2, 3, 4, and 5, you can always throw these previous levels in, right? We're just adding complexity, again, in a systemic, I said systemic the first time, systematic way. What's level 2, you might ask? Level 2 is when we break up this scale into simple groups, right? These are simple 4-note groups where we just take 4 notes. 4 notes works really well because it's even if you're in any kind of, quarter note based metric, which we usually are almost all the time. Not always, but almost all the time. The most basic way to break this up is in groups of 4, up going up, as we have here, and then you can just turn it around and go down going down. Easy peasy. If you're a pianist, let's just take a minute here, quarter notes or half notes, and do each group of 4, right? So I have C, E flat, F, and G, and then I have the next group is E flat, F, G, and B flat, right? Same scale, just grouping it in groups of 4, and then F, G, B flat, C, and then G, B flat, C, E flat, and then B flat, C, E flat, F, right? Just taking this. If you're a pianist, let's play these in half notes, playing all the notes together of each one of these groups like this. Right? Just taking it up. We'll go up to the octave and then back down. This is so crucial because once we have these groups, we can do whatever we want to them. We can do simple little run-ups and run-downs, or we can, as we'll see later, get more complex with the shape. Let's just do this once. 2, 3, and 4. And again, as we do this, give it the attention it deserves. Can you follow the sound all the way to the end and all the way to the next group? One more time. Let's go up. That exercise right there is just chef's kiss. That will get you so far because your hands will just go to those positions naturally and you can do whatever the heck you want within that position. Let's do the very first simple way of doing this. Working it, right? Just working each shape up. Let's just go up, going up, just like that. 2, 3, and 4. And let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let's do it again. And when we get up here to this G, we'll just give it a bit of a pause, and I'll count you off, and let's go down, going down. Starting on the G, same shapes. We'll just change directions and go down, going down. Okay? 1, 2, 3, and 4. And up, going up. Down, going down. 3, and 4. And okay, we've heard it. Now again, let's perform it. Let's really put some humanity to it, right? This is not just an exercise. This is the pentatonic scale. This is pretty deep. This is pretty heavy. It's in every culture. It's all over the world. It's timeless. It's been around since most music has been around, so let's treat it with respect here. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And down, 2, 3, and 4. And again, 2, 3, and 4. And three, and down, and let's take the tempo up just a hair. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And same thing. Make it groove. Down, 3, and 4. And again, 2, 3, and 4. And 3, and 4. And yeah. One more 2, 3, and 4. Up going up, and down going down. Two, 3, and 4, and. Hey now. Hey now. All right. Come on now. Okay. That's a simple group. And again, right, just like with the linear, this is a very basic way to handle pentatonic scales, and when you hear beginners, you hear this. And there's nothing wrong with this. In fact, when you hear advanced players, you hear this too. They might change it up a little bit. Right? Making music is about way more than just the convention that you're throwing at people here. Okay, so what's a way that we can add complexity to this? What if we did some broken groups? Right, so remember how I said we can take this shape, especially if you're a pianist, right, these groups of 4, and you can start messing with them? Check this one out. Right, it's just this first group, that top line there. Right, we're skipping up, and then we're coming down. So we're kind of going up and down. We're skipping up, and then we're coming down. And it makes for a longer phrase. This is such a hip phrase. This is where you really get that sound, right? Let's try it. Let's take it back down. A little bit faster than this. Let's try it. Let's just do this top one first. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 2, 3, and 4. And 1, 2, 3, and 4. And one more time. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And okay, now let's take this next shape, right? E flat, F, G, and B flat, and apply that same pattern, right? We can just take each one of these shapes. They're so great. Let's try it. Let's start right at the top, and let's just do this whole exercise, each one of these positions, each one of these shapes with this pattern. Here we go. 2, 3, and 4. And next. 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 And then B flat. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let's do it one more time and we'll pick up the tempo. 2, 3, and 4. And again, perform this. Even if this is new, where we put our attention matters here. Let's take it up just a hair. We're not going to go crazy with any tempos today. We're just kind of doing a little workout with these pentatonic scales. Try it here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And next. See if you can make everything nice and even. No juice on it yet. I went one too many. Try it again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And Okay, now let's make it swing. Let's make it groove. Let's make it feel the way that we feel right now, today, as we're practicing this. What are you feeling as you're doing this? Maybe it's like, I wish this guy would shut up and do something besides pentatonic scales. Or maybe it's like, this is amazing. I feel so great doing this. Or maybe it's like, what am I going to have for dinner? Or maybe it's like, I'm not feeling this. Whatever it is, see if you can make that happen on this exercise. Can you make your piano sing that? Try it. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And. Or your horn, or your voice, whatever you're playing with today. Again, 2, 3, and 4, and. Last time, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. So great. So much fun. Okay, time out. Just give yourself a little pat on the back for some good work. Send yourself a little love for showing up today at something that's pretty useful for not just for you, but for humanity. I always like to remind everybody as we practice these things that there's nothing wrong with spending a little time and a little energy trying to make the world a little bit more of a beautiful place. So just, send yourself a little appreciation for the work we're putting in. That's one. Number two, if you have any questions about any of this or you want some clarification, go ahead and ask those questions in the comments. That's what the comments are for. I like to snoop around some comments, especially in the weeks following these guided practice sessions. So go ahead and leave me your question or clarification right there in the comments. And number three, if you want to take a deeper dive on this kind of thing, I have a course called Pentatonics and Playing Out that deals with exactly what this is. It goes on a very deep dive filled with guided practice sessions. We've got a very special offer for you right there. Ian just put it in the chat. He's going to put a link in the description. So go check that out as usually. And number four, I feel like we should do 5. Well, I'll try to get 5. But number 4, if this is the kind of content that you want to see out of me in Open Studio, go ahead and smash that like button. I don't know why you got to smash it. Just don't hurt your machine, your computer, as you're doing this. You know what I'm saying? And number 5, big deep breath. Okay. That doesn't really mean anything. It's just nice to do, Okay. So, you could do some contrary motion with this, but we won't. It looks like contrary motion. So we're going to start combining some of these elements, right? The fourth level of practicing pentatonics like this is starting to combine all of these things together, right? All of these linear scales, the simple shapes, the broken groups, things like that. So check out this first line that I have here on obviously what's page 3. I don't know how it got a page 3 number on it, but it did. So we're going to go all the way up, right? Over the octave, up our linear pentatonic scale, right? Hey. And then when we get to that G, we're going to do our very cool broken group here. Right? So if you play piano, you might just make sure that you get to your thumb on that G. You can do that by going thumb on the C and then 1, 2, 3, and then you'll be fine, right? If you play saxophone or trumpet or something, it probably doesn't matter. I don't know what it is, but it's probably not that hard. Although it's all in your mouth, it's different. Everything has its own challenges. But check it out. So we can go up. And then in that phrase with the broken group, now we're on to something. Now we're into like a pretty hip. I gotta take my own advice, fingering wise. Try it again. Isn't that great? Let's try it a little slower, actually, because I can't play it yet. This is why I'm practicing with y'all, Here we go. So right here, just this first line, just the top line. Two, 3, and 4, and. Again, 2, 3, and 4, and. So cool. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Now, let's go back down from here. Down, and then we land on that F. We do that same shape on the F. We've already practiced all of this, luckily. Play with me. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and coming down here, the second line. Our little skippy up and then back down. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and again. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and okay, let's combine these two lines together. Let's just play them straight through this whole figure here. 2, 3, and 4, and down. Again. Keep going. Let's just loop this. Start nice and slow. Even if you're a more advanced player and this is easy for you, can you do it perfectly every time? Can you make each note sing? Can you make it perfectly even? If you can't, there's still work to be done here. Okay, it doesn't sound quite so hip at this tempo, but there's hipness to be had here. Let's start working this one up a little bit. This will be a good one to kind of let rip. Let's see if we can do that. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and again, perform this. Again. Give this the attention it deserves. Make it groove. Tell a story with it. What is the story with this line? There's something happening here, right? There's an arc to it, for sure, like naturally. It's our job to convey that kind of stuff with our little buttons. Come on now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And down. Again. You got it. Stop. Pianist, curve your fingers right now. Curve them more than you think you should. Just do that for the next 10 minutes or so. Every time that you catch yourself flat-fingered, remember to hold that bubble from escaping, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Curve those fingers. Come on. Come on. And curve them over the right notes, though. Again. Come on now. Oof. Rough. Try it again. Okay, check this out. So a lot of mistakes there for me in those last two, right? It's we're about 30 minutes into this guided practice session. That's a little bit of a cue, right? We want to listen to some of these signals in our brain, in our body. I'm just going to take about a minute here. I'm going to take some deep breaths. I'm just going to kind of stretch it out, right? This is my practice session too. And this is what I do when I start to freeze up like that, because my brain is getting distracted. Like I'm thinking about what I want to talk about with you. I'm thinking about the final exercise that we have. I'm thinking about, is my computer working? All this other stuff. Where's my dog? Is she going to try to knock this partition back on the back of my head? Because it's a possibility. We all know that from Friday. But I'm kind of catching myself, my mind wandering, right? Perfect opportunity to just take a minute, shake it out, right? My arm's a little tight anyway from the 30 minutes of constant playing. Maybe roll your shoulders. Just take a big breath here. Again, you might send yourself a little bit of love. Nice work already. This is really fun. You might even go over to your practice journal and write down some opportunities where you can use this kind of information in tunes that you're working on. Or like, oh, this would work really well over Softly as in a Morning Sunrise, or a resolution, or 100 other tunes where I haven't really been able to put things together. So this is a perfect opportunity to kind of reflect on what we've learned so far. A little silence never hurt anybody either. Just take 10 seconds there to not hear anything, including me. Okay, let's get back to it. Let's see how that helps, if it helps at all. Right here. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And better. Sometimes you just need a break. You need a Snickers, you know? Here we go. One more time. That's great. So a little mini lesson in there of just listening to the cues that are going on in your mind and in your body on any practice session, right? We don't have to like torture our physical and mental well-being as we're working on this stuff. In fact, it's counterproductive. When you're feeling a little bit burnt, that's a good cue to just take a second, go walk outside for 10 minutes, or even just step outside for 2 minutes. Anything like that is very, very helpful. Okay. What's the final way that we can practice? Number 5 here. It's these little half-step slides. I'm going to come over here. It's these half-step slides that just work so brilliantly with pentatonic scales, almost more brilliantly than in any other concept, sliding in and out by a half step. Here I have this small lick that we can do where we just take the first phrase, a simple group, right, from starting on C, and we just slide that down a half step to B minor. Right? It's the same thing, just down a half step. And then we go back to our C minor pentatonic, that next shape down. And we're going to do a little delay, and then we're going to end with one of our broken groups. So the whole thing sounds like this. Now notice that last C minor pentatonic run, that last little simple group from B flat, G, F, and E flat, I have a little delay there. And then I start my broken group there, the blue notes, I start that on beat 4. Start slowly. Try it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. 3 and 4 and. Let's actually do 8th notes. I'm doing 16th notes. Try it. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Better. One, 2, again, and. Two, 3, again. work it up a little bit. Try it right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. 2, 3, and 4, and. Pianists, check out these voicings I'm doing here. Just F, B flat, and E flat, right? A fourth voicing for my first chord. Then when I want to kind of imply that B minor, I just take this up in half steps, right? I take it up chromatically. So F, B flat, E flat becomes F sharp, B natural, E natural. And then when I get back to my C minor pentatonic, I'm G, C, F. So you get this nice, just up chromatically. And we happen to be taking the key down, so it's this nice contrary motion. One, 2, 3, and 4, and. 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 2, 3, and 4, and. 1, 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 2, 3, and 4, and. Couple more times. 2, 3, and 4, and. It's nice right there. 2, 3, and 4, and. One more tempo. Here we go. You got it. You got it. 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Last time. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. Pentatonics. The 5 levels of practicing some pentatonics. Again, just to recap here, starting out with literally just playing the scale. Starting at every scale tone, up and down, just in the octave. And then doing simple groups. Right? And then doing broken groups. And then combining linear scales with the other elements, broken groups or simple groups, whatever you want to do. And then finally, taking it out. Slip sliding either up or down a half step. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it does matter to hit the right notes, but you can slide it either way you want. And that's kind of the 5 levels. That's the 5 levels of practicing pentatonics, 5 levels of pentatonics. I think doing things like this in such a structured way, they're really helpful because you can then put any key through this. You can do any pattern of like the simple groupings. You can do different patterns of the more complex groupings. You can do different ways of practicing the scales with it, right? You can really you can really make this whatever you want just within those different levels. So thanks everybody for your work today. Again, check out Pentatonics and Playing Out. Ian's going to put the link there in the description, the link in the chat. Hit the like button if this is the kind of stuff that you're into. Sure is what I'm into. I love practicing stuff like this. And again, shake it out, right? We did a lot of playing. That's 45 minutes of playing. Give your shoulders a nice little roll and give yourself some love for leaving the world a little bit more of a beautiful place than you found it. And I'll be back here on Friday. Until then, happy practicing. Thanks, everybody. Peace.